Hello. Welcome back to Gush. Joining us today is a very special guest. You might know him as MamaMax on YouTube. I know him as the pedophile hunter, because that's how he introduced himself. And that is indeed what he does. Each and every video is uncovering a dark, unsettling truth that lies right in front of our eyes, on the internet, on YouTube, in the dark corners of cyberspace. He brings them to light to share the stories of, okay, I'm going to stop doing that. But, MamaMax, thanks for joining us today, man.
Thank you, man. That was very sexy.
I liked the dark corners of cyberspace line. Good.
Yeah, I feel like what you do, what you bring to YouTube, and why you're so popular and kind of just making a lot of waves right now is you're bringing this very serious, well-presented format and mixing it with good narration, a good mix of like, I don't know if I would quite say, I would say like kind of personality. Like you don't take yourself too seriously. You'll have little jokes here and there when you're talking about these really dark things, but it's all in good taste. It's not like you're making light of anything, but you're kind of keeping it light in a way for the viewer to not be like super depressed constantly. Yeah, like how did you even just like get into like figuring out that this is the kind of topics you want to cover? Because they are really dark things that you're talking about.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for the kind words. To answer the question though, it was fun is the simplest answer. I am not a victim myself, but a lot of my audience is, and so I just tried it one time. Like I was doing like more horror related stuff, like mysteries, kind of like what Nexpo does. And then one time I did it about a pedophile ring, and it was fun to do. Like I liked it. And so I wanted to do more, and then it started getting more like violent because it felt right to do. It felt that was the right way to carry the subject because it's just cathartic, especially for me and my audience, because I mean they're the ones who went through it. So
when did you start doing the pedophile hunting style videos?
So that was Cartoon Incorporated. That was this YouTube pedo ring thing. It was like, it had like Elsa Gate themes. That was like 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay. Because I was going to say that like one of the first YouTubers that comes to, well, I guess he's not a YouTuber anymore. You probably know who I'm about to say, but one of the first people that comes to mind when I think of like these sort of pedophile exposing videos and also this like dark tone and all that is Mouthy Buddha.
Oh god.
Yeah, bit of a controversial figure for other videos he's made, but he has made some phenomenal ones on the kind of like when it comes to like this Epstein related like things. He's talked about that, but we'll get to Mouthy Buddha in a minute. But one thing I wanted to bring up though, because this is something I noticed is very different about your approach to this topic, because this is not the first time it's been talked about on YouTube. And as you pointed out in the Cartoon Incorporated video, Matt Walsh, was that his name? Matt Walsh, the kind of like
Matt Watson.
Matt Watson. Sorry, I was.
Oh, the guy who started the whole controversy a couple years ago.
Yes.
Yeah, and it was Time's Up. It was called like Time's Up YouTube or something. And you pointed out that his approach was very much a shotgun approach, where he was blaming the platform for pretty innocuous content that was basically just being used by creepy people. But it was otherwise just like, you know, kids playing in a pool or whatever. That's like not for that purpose. And you kind of go after more specific cases and people, and in many, you've actually brought people to justice in doing so. And in more recently, you had probably one of the biggest wins, I think, on this subject with Pick a Side YouTube, where you collaborated with a bunch of other YouTubers, many of which we know, or we've even had on here, some of them. And you guys were all basically taking a stand against this because this stuff is allowed to go rampant on the platform. A lot of these creators are being very creepy and exploitative. YouTube got back to you on that.
Pick Aside YouTube was more about how YouTube deals with channels like yours, though, right? It was more about like
Correct.
YouTube not allowing like these channels that are seeking justice to do what they do.
Well, that's the irony, is that YouTube will go after you guys who are exposing these kinds of things, and they've gone after you, and yet, I mean, it seems like, I don't know, maybe this is a wrong assessment, but doesn't it seem like a lot of the people, the predators, are kind of given a pass more? I don't know. Do you think not enough is being done on their enforcement of that, right?
Greg, I think you're starting to see things from my side, because that's exactly what I was looking at whenever I made that hashtag. Like, I'm like, look at all this shit, and we're getting treated. Okay, well, I will say YouTube is getting a lot better at like taking down videos like that, and same with like animal abuse videos. But yeah, you're explaining the exact like conundrum I was going through. And that's the thing that pissed me off so much, to make the video so over the top, to make it, get the message across.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like, and I've heard you talk about how it's more about the message almost with these kinds of videos than it is about you yourself. I mean, obviously you're the creator and you have a lot of your own style to it, but it's more about the message, and I think that video is a good example of it. Do you ever worry that this could go south, even though you have a more calculated approach, but in terms of like YouTube just taking their own sweeping approach that doesn't actually have any nuance, and just like, I don't know, making it a lot harder to make, I guess, ad revenue is always a concern for creators, obviously, but right. Do you think this time will be different in terms of their response?
I mean, I don't think a single advertiser has even pulled out because of this. And I know that's what everyone points to. Like, you're going to cause apocalypse. Like, no, I'm not. I'm like, no one's gonna listen to me, at least not advertisers. But I do think what will happen is the general public will look at YouTube and be like, hey, something needs to be done. And yeah, that's basically what happened. And I think that's why they responded to me, because they want to make their company successful. Like, they don't benefit from
negative PR.
Exactly. So I think they would be willing to work on this, at least to like put protections in place for investigative content like mine, and among others.
Why do you think that now, especially, this kind of content seems to resonate with people? It's very popular, and you have a lot of support for this movement. And it's not just the pedophile stuff. It's also the animal abuse stuff. It's also just the very fucked up things. And I feel like
it's the exposing of just like monstrous activity, basically.
Yeah, like how. Well, I'll say this. The way I see it is that there is so much darkness in the world, and for a very long time, we've kind of just turned a blind eye to it collectively in terms of going to escapism, going into something else. And I feel like what you're doing and what some other creators are doing in your general genre, if you could call it that, is facing this darkness and making sense of it, and in your case, trying to bring justice to it.
Yeah. Wait, what was the question? I'm sorry.
Well, why is it gaining traction now?
Yeah, like, why do you think it's gaining traction now? Yeah.
Well, I can say, at least for me, I felt like everyone always hated people who abused kids and animals. And I think all I'm really doing is taking these real cases and making like a story out of them. Kind of like I guess Batman is like what most people see, but there's also shit like The Punisher, Taken a while back, the girl with the dragon tattoo. Like, everyone always loved revenge stories against these types of people. It's just, I want to start making it about actual people. And I think that's what makes at least my audience like it a lot, is the catharsism from the narrative parts, but also that it's actually fucking doing something. Like, people, these actual predators are being found.
Well, because actual things are happening as a result of your video.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you, and maybe, I don't know if this is something you've asked yourself, but I'm asking you now, do you view yourself more as a reporter or as a sort of vigilante? Yeah.
I definitely don't see myself as a reporter.
Okay. You're just going to leave it at that?
I think so.
I don't know how, this isn't something that I've researched enough to know if this is even true, but someone was talking to me about how, typically the police don't like it when people make this kind of content, because it actually makes it harder to persecute these people.
I disagree, but police don't ever fucking do anything anyway.
Exactly.
I've tried working with police on these cases. Before I even make the fucking video, I try to make them do something, and they never do anything. And I can't tell you how many emails I've gotten of children who literally have the CP they sent with them, and they're trying to give it to the police, and the police don't give a shit. So much. I feel like.
Yeah, why is that? I don't understand.
Okay, so every time I've tried working with police, they always try to push it onto someone else. Oh, we don't want to take this. Well, they don't ever say that. They said, oh, you should probably send it to this precinct. And then I'll try doing that. And then they're like, no, you should have sent it to the precinct where the victim was. Okay, so I tried doing that. No, you got to send it to where the aggressor is. And then they're like, okay, now try sending it to the FBI. You send it to the FBI. They don't ever respond. Nothing happens. End of the story. And so that's when I make the video, is after all of that has been done and nothing gets done. That's when it's time. Okay, now it's time to. I mean, I wouldn't exist if the law would fucking do something.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah, I feel like I have to fucking do something because they don't do anything.
And yeah, it seems like the way your videos work in terms of bringing justice is that it brings awareness to the subject, and then people sort of just do what they do, right?
Yeah.
Well, I would say it's even a step further, where you're not just saying, all right, well, this is the information, do with it what you will.
Well, yeah, there's a call to action.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. My videos are very violent for a reason. I'm not trying to say that I'm a violent person, because I'm not. I think I'm pretty peaceful. But I know there's a portion of my audience that are violent people and want something done. And so I'm like, here you go.
Do you ever worry that the more effective you get and the larger your audience is, do you have any concerns, I guess, with being targeted yourself by...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you mean by pedophiles?
Yeah, or anyone in power that doesn't like what you're doing because they feel like you're going to threaten to expose them, maybe.
Mm.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I get fucking death threats on my email every day. I know where you live and shit like that. And I think it's funny. I think if someone does try to do something to me, it just proves that what I'm doing, I think, is good. And it's actually fucking doing something.
I wonder if the ineffectiveness of law enforcement and all this is a consequence of the age of the internet, where things are so decentralized when it comes to cases like this. Yeah. Would you say that that's a big barrier?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Police don't have any fucking clue what's going on. At least from, I try to tell them, about something, and they're like, what's TikTok? What is that?
Come on.
You know?
What?
Shit like that.
What's the most popular website right now?
What's Google?
Exactly.
They're typing in www.
Clueless.
It sounds like a gridlock of incompetence.
Oh yeah.
We don't know what to do with this. Send it to someone else who doesn't know what to do with it, and then eventually get to the point where no one says anything. What a fantastic system we have set up.
No, even like swatting. They're like, what is swatting? Like, I'm like,
could you tell us more about these flies that you're swatting?
Exactly. Oh God,
it's kind of a lot of boomers
so
too.
difficult.
I think that are just in charge of these offices that like have no.
Definitely, yeah.
Do you ever worry that like your like calls to action will be like taken as like inciting violence and things will go too far or something like that?
I mean, I always put a disclaimer at the beginning of the video that, you know, nothing in this video should be like taken as an incite of violence. Like, I even say the videos are fictional at the beginning. Like, it serves as a video, and if people want to be inspired by this video, then, you know, that can happen.
Right. I also think that the reason your content is resonating so much with people is because, not to, you know, call anyone out in particular, but the kind of, it's a lot of genres on YouTube actually, where it's just, a lot of people are saying like YouTube is dead right now. And in a lot of ways, old styles of content where it's like, hey guys, check out this new thing. Or it's like, let's talk about some derivative drama for the 100th time again. Like, who fucking cares? Yours has some meaning to it, I would say.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Greg. Please go on.
Well, okay. Well, that goes. So, I guess where that really leads to is that must mean that you value something deeper than just. I know you're saying this is fun and you like making it, but there must be a greater purpose driving you. Would you say that's true?
Oh, of course there is. Yeah, my audience, like they have gone through so fucking much in their lives, like. The things I've had to see, like in my email, like what has happened to them. I feel honored to like be in this position to where I can like represent what they want to have happen to, you know, their aggressors.
Do you ever get depressed, like, or down? How do you keep yourself from being clouded by those kinds of stories and messages? Like, how do you keep yourself from getting too affected by it? Do you have to have a layer of detachment or separation, or how do you handle that?
No, not a layer of detachment, but like actually like attaching myself to it and making a video about it is like the most cathartic thing for me to do, because it's like this shit is happening regardless, like whether I make the video or not. It's when I'm not making video when this shit bothers me, because it's like something could be done. And so, yeah, I'd say the making of the videos is like my therapy of seeing all this shit. So I don't really get wrapped up. Like, I don't think I've suffered like my mental health has not suffered from doing this. It's from not doing this where I suffer. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's like, the just knowing that nothing's happening and no one's acting on it is kind of what drives you crazy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it gives me purpose to do something about it.
Yeah,
it seems like sorry.
I was just gonna say I could see why it'd be so upsetting to have a video taken down, like when you're trying to bring justice and like this is like the
exactly
going into it with.
Yeah, everyone's asking, like, why is he so unhinged and tilted? It's like, that is why. That is literally the reason why. So, yeah, thank you for...
It seems like, I think you... Okay, so there's a purpose driving you, and it's seeing all these stories and seeing this complete injustice happening regularly, and that there's something you could do about it. And now, and I think there's a big step that was made with your latest video, with all these other creators also picking yours. It's not really your side. It is a side of justice, I would say, against all this. And I feel like that's giving. I mean, this is just interesting to me because it's like this is affecting the environment, the culture of YouTube. Now there's almost more on the line, whether those people know it or not. Everyone who you collaborated with, everyone you're collaborating with now, who's like we're talking about with you, and other people you're kind of cool with and you collaborate with, it's more clear now, isn't it? Like before, let me put it to you this way. Before this kind of content came along, before your channel was really popping off, and there was just nothing really meaningful for people to sit on the fence about, for people to talk about, for people to debate. It's like, this is why I don't want to be so picking on anyone, but like, this is why I hate drama videos where it's like, oh, this guy's a hypocrite. Oh, this guy's a hypocrite. Oh, turns out everyone's a hypocrite, guys. I know. Oh, crazy, right? Whereas this is beautiful. Like, oh no, this person is a predator who needs to be brought to justice. And it's almost like there's no question about it. You know what I mean? When you get past a certain point. The
question is just, how do we bring him to justice?
Right. It's a unifying, what I'm saying is it's a very unifying message, and it shows where people stand. And I feel like it's elevating the platform of YouTube to not just be entertainment, but rather, vigilante justice. What would you call it? I mean, where do you think this is going? Where do you see this going? Or do you think it's just going to be every once in a while, like someone is caught and people are made more aware? It's like a slow, gradual thing, or will this be like something that you think will start an actual movement? It feels like it is an actual movement, is what I'm saying.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Thank you so much, Greg. Again, like, that's from one filmmaker to another. That really means a lot. I really appreciate that. I just want to, I'm glad that it's moving in a direction to where we're finally going to see more and more people coming out, and being a victim will no longer mean like you lost, but like now you have a story to tell, and now like you can triumph over it, and hopefully it will inspire more survivors to come out and make an example out of the person who, abused them.
So your goal is to inspire people to kind of realize they have more power than they think, maybe.
I'd say that's definitely one of my top most priorities, is giving the survivors like
power.
Yeah, exactly. Like empowering victims.
A voice for the voiceless, if you will.
Are you familiar with G.G. Allen by any chance?
I've heard the name.
G.G. Allen was like this punk rocker in the early 90s, late 80s, and like that was his exact message. Like he was like he was a victim, like growing up, of like all kinds of abuse. And his whole message was just like, being a victim gives me the strength to like never let it happen again, or whatever.
Oh my God, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
I wish I would have put it like that.
I feel like you would vibe with, well, maybe not everything about him, but you'd probably vibe with his message.
I love that.
This is the punk rock of YouTube. That's what it is. This is punk. In a modern form. I mean, I don't know if you'd call it punk, but it's the same energy of like, this system is corrupt.
Oh, nice.
Let's tear it the fuck down and, build something new.
I appreciate that.
Well, I mean, appreciate it or not, I think it's just a wave that you're a part of. I mean, I don't even think it's like a personal compliment as much as it is like, it's this thing now. Yeah. Right. Like you're a big part of it, but it's not even just you. It's there's a lot of people who I think are like fitting in this area where they're seeing the darkness for what it is, and they're bringing it to light. That's how I call it, but I guess some people would call it punk, right?
Mm-hmm. I'm grateful to be here.
What kind of music are you into?
Me? So I'm into everything, and I'm actually someone who means that when I say it, but I hate certain artists, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, it really depends on the artist. Like, there's an artist who can make amazing country music, and then there's country music that's just absolute dog shit.
Yeah, there's like top 40s country music that's just generic cookie cutter crap.
Exactly.
And then there's like Willie Nelson or something. Like,
exactly. No, yeah, that's exactly right. Same with like rap.
Yep.
Same with every genre. So it really depends on the artist, and I guess also the song as well, whether whether it's good or not.
Yeah, exactly. No, I feel
depending on whether I like
I
it.
think I vibe exactly with what you're saying. Like, I also always tell people, like, I like everything, and I'm not just saying that, like, because everyone says that.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's always like, oh, I like everything but country and rap. It's like, that's stupid.
I could see you listening to like some screamo, like you said, cathartic. So I could imagine you like System of a Down or like, I don't know, like something. Do you ever just do that? Like, or is that not an outlet for catharsis for you?
No, it definitely is. That, like Lamb of God,
Nice.
Metallica. I do love metal, but I think what I gravitate most towards is the music that I use like in my videos, like kind of like Hotline Miami.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like that's, I don't know, something about it just brings the best out of me.
It does feel really badass in like a Fight Club kind of way, but like when Fight Club was cool and not lame.
I agree.
Where did you get your style when it comes to editing? Do you do all the editing yourself?
I do, yes.
Okay, it's pretty amazing.
It's good, yeah.
It's high quality, but it's not too flashy. Like, it doesn't detract.
Y'all are so nice to me. Please, like, insult me a little bit. I appreciate it.
You should put out more videos, but I guess you're working on that. So,
oh yeah, it's hard work.
Yeah, that's the other thing is this style of, I don't know if you'd call it a style, but it's like the approach to where you're not, I don't mean you specifically, but like anyone in this, there's a few people who do it like this, where instead of a video every week, every 2 weeks, or even every month consistently, it's like, I'm working on a project. This is the next project. It'll be out when it's out. How do you like that approach?
It's like all three of us.
Yeah, it is. It is. How do you like that approach to YouTube?
I think that's, at least for content like mine, I think that's the best way to do it. Like if I were to do it every month, it would be trash. Like or at least for me, it would be trash. Like it would be too generic, too lazy. And plus, I can't even fucking do an investigation. Like, I am the one hunting these pedophiles. That takes like 3 to 4 months on its own just to build all the rapport and then get all their information and then like do all of the like contact the police shit and see if they're gonna do anything. So yeah, it ends up taking like 3, sometimes 4 months, and then there's the script, which is like for a 90-minute video, it's quite arduous. Mm-hmm. And then there's the filming, the recording, all that takes so long. So but it's worth it because that's, like I said, that's what my audience wants, at least for me. I understand I could just like, just do a voiceover and tell the story like it is, but that's not my style, and that's not the way my audience wants me to do it. So that's why I do what I do.
Truly a legacy creator, honestly.
Well,
thank you.
I don't know how legacy creator is one term, but I think more, another way to say it is just there's a separation also on YouTube between YouTubers and filmmakers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like, Oki, good friend of ours.
Oh yeah.
He's a filmmaker.
Fucking love him.
Even, it's just like, that to me is way more interesting because it's competing. I feel like this kind of content competes with Netflix, with streaming services, Hulu, whatever. It's way different than your typical YouTuber, which people are bored of anyways. That's the thing. Nobody cares about, unless it's like a very personality driven channel with a cult following, which there's plenty of. But actually, that's a question I want to ask you. Okay, so I'm sure the comparison people have made to a lot of people with you. Corpse Husband is one of them. Obviously, you're very different, but like your content's very different.
God.
Aesthetically, maybe some people might say that. I don't even think that's fair, but it's really just the voice. But yeah, like how do you your audience, like what do you think, how much do you think about your audience when it comes to presentation, and how much do you think about how you want to present yourself, and what really do you think your role is in doing that? Like what are you going for exactly?
Where you were asking about, am I going more for my own style or my audience? My audience has definitely been the ones pushing me. Like, I wouldn't have gotten to where I am without them. Like, I just like go with the tide, and they're the ones like, I see what they like and what they don't like. And the more like stylistic and violent my content has gotten,
the more they like
the more they like it. Yeah. And the more it gets like shared. And I mean, that makes sense coming from a survivor's perspective. Like, you want to, it's like, it
visceral.
breaks all of these. Yeah. It breaks all these rules that like all these movies have taught us where revenge isn't the right way. Like, there's another way. It's like, no, like once you touch a child, it's like, that destroys everything. It like, it changes the whole ball game. And, so they've been the ones pushing me, and then I just apply like what I think would be interesting to them, like the Hotline Miami stuff. I love Hotline Miami, so that's definitely a me thing put into this whole universe that they have pushed me into, you know. I say push. They're not pushing me. They're not like, you have to do this, but it is like I said earlier, going with the tide and seeing what they like and what they don't like.
That's interesting, because I feel like Greg and me and Oki like are so the opposite in that sense, where like we're not doing what our audience, like, we're gonna do something that we want to do even if our audience doesn't want it. You know what I mean?
Oh wow, okay.
Or at least that's how I feel.
I do think you have to be, not you specifically, but something I think about in general. And this is, I've listened to like a lot of different. I was listening to Ariel Pink, who's a like an indie rock star guy. He was on Break the Rules, and he was talking about like how at a certain point he had a good grasp on his image as an artist, and then as he got bigger, as he got more popular, he completely lost. The image belonged to the audience. It belonged to everyone else, and you can't get that back. So I guess it's like, I think you have to be careful with that. But I see what you're saying too, where it's like, it's almost like you don't want to make it so much about what I want or what I want to show people. You're going with the flow. And that's why I think you've resonated with so many people, is because you're, at the same time, you're listening to the audience and seeing what they're receptive to. But there is, I don't know. I think
there's like a danger in that, though.
Yeah,
like letting the audience shape you too much.
Maybe there is.
You want to go with the flow, but not get swept under the tides, right? Like, you don't.
That makes so much sense. Yeah, and same with like the opposite. Like, you don't want to stray too far from what they want, otherwise you get Matrix Resurrections, you know.
Yeah,
right.
So you gotta respect yourself and them. I guess there's a healthy balance in it.
Yeah, it's tough. It can be, at least, because I don't know about anyone else, but for me personally, I just find that I get, like, I do something once or twice and then I get bored and want to do something different, which is really bad for YouTube, because it's like, when I started YouTube, it's like, I started making videos about Smash, and then I was like, I'm so bored of Smash after 2 videos. So I started talking about Twitch. And then I made 2 videos about Twitch, and I'm like, I'm so bored of Twitch. And it's just like, it's like not a great way to build an audience.
Yeah.
Have you guys, I've been thinking sometimes lately about what is going on in the mind of a pedophile. And I don't mean like in terms of what they want or whatever. I just mean like what causes that, and what maintains that, and why are they going after children? Do any of you want to weigh in on that before I like give a take on it?
I mean, Max, you're the expert.
Am I the expert? I feel like I'm the last person to ask, because I don't want to know anything about what's going on in their head. But, I mean, I do know it is a mental illness. I do know that there is no cure. There's like, they have like rehabilitation stuff, but I've only ever heard that shit never works. So yeah, I don't know. I don't fucking know anything.
Okay.
Well,
I'm going to challenge you for a moment. No. I'm going to challenge both of you for a moment here. Okay. Because I've been thinking about this a lot, and not just this, but other dark psyches that are common these days, or more common than they should be. I think what's going on with pedophilia is that what's happening is this externalization of one's childhood. So it's somebody who, I think all adults need to reconnect with their inner child. And for some people that's hard because their childhood was rough. It was traumatic. And for some people they're so connected with their inner child, they never became an adult. This is why you have man children. This is why you have people into their, later years still doing things as they were as a kid. Their habits never got more mature. And somewhere in all that is a very fucked up psyche. And I agree that it is a mental illness and it should be, studied and tried to be corrected as much as possible. But I think what's going on is it's people who, I don't know what happened in their childhood. It could be any number of things. In many cases, it is people who were victims of this themselves. And those are the worst because then it's like this cycle of horrible, depraved things that are done to children. And I think this cycle happens because, let me put it to you this way. Okay. I don't want to get too personal here, but I'm going to try to just not overstep my boundaries either and say that I've realized through some personal experiences that it's good to view the world in some ways through the eyes of a child, still have a childlike sense of wonder, if you will, about the world. But it's also important to be grounded in adulthood, to be realistic, pragmatic, to be a man in the case of me as a man. And I feel like with the pedophilic behavior, it's not looking inward, not facing oneself, not reconnecting with their childhood, troubled as it may be, and instead draining another innocent child of their childhood to try to compensate, to try to fill that void.
It's an act of resistance, is what you're saying. It's
an act of revenge against somebody who never deserved it. The most innocent soul you could find, a child soul, It's not even revenge. It's trying to fill a void by external. But that's the thing is I'm getting at.
It's the way you're saying it sounds like they're trying to resist looking at the void.
Resist looking inward. Yes.
You're essentially calling it a coping mechanism.
I mean, that's putting it very lightly. I think it's a predatory, violent, horrible, evil, depraved thing. But it's a resistance to face one's own inner darkness and one's own inner self, I think, at the most extreme level. Because what do you do when you don't face yourself is that you externalize. And some people, this is very casual. They'll be project, they'll be like, they'll be constantly gossiping about what they see in other people that reminds them of something in themselves that they don't like.
It's so true.
Right.
Yeah.
And I view the ultimate form of externalization as victimizing someone else for the thing that you don't like about yourself. And this is, I think, why you have people who were molested or whatever as children. They will unfortunately continue that cycle onto other kids because it's like, oh, well, this happened to me, so it should happen to you. Instead of like, no, it shouldn't have happened to you either, but that doesn't make it right to do it to, obviously that logic is just evil. But, yeah, that's, I guess, sorry for the long ramble there, but it's a very dark thing. And I feel like, I don't know if you guys get this sense, but do you think it's getting more normalized?
Yes, I do. It's like, I mean, the fact that maps exist is terrifying.
Disgusting.
And they're not even getting penalized on Twitter for
they're
just allowed to be there.
Should things I think Twitter should definitely shut down any organized form, not just Twitter, all social media should unequivocally shut down any kind of behavior that is facilitating that. But they don't seem like they're very interested in cracking down on that stuff. I guess YouTube, was receptive to your efforts as of late, but it's big on Twitter too. It's big on TikTok. Dude, TikTok is oh my God. I mean,
I know.
I don't even want to go there, but
I don't either.
That's a whole videos like series right there on TikTok.
It literally is. Yes.
And
Why is it getting normalized though? Like why are we moving in this direction?
I think it's the lines being blurred with ages, with communities, and the pervasiveness of pornography, including CP, is a big thing in that too. Okay, let me ask you this. This is more related to topics we've talked about on this show before. What do you have any strong opinions or viewpoints on, I wouldn't say it's pedophilia, but hemophilia, is that what it's called? I keep saying it wrong. What the fuck is it called? Hebophilia. Like basically
it's like blood clot related.
Yeah. It's basically adults. And you'll see this mostly in the Smash community, maybe in, we bring this up like every episode, but
I was just telling Max about how fucked up the Smash community is before we started this.
Yeah, what do you make of all that stuff? I mean, do you think that's something you would ever cover, or is that something? I mean, just how do you feel about it, first of all? But
I'm disgusted by it, and yes, I want to cover as many platforms and genres as I can, because there's so fucking many places where adults and children will meet, and then inevitably, there's some fucked up shit going on, like even the Catholic Church.
Anywhere they meet online seems to be the case, and in real life, there's a lot of examples like the Catholic Church for sure.
Yeah. So yes, I do plan on doing that sometime in the future.
But there's a difference, right? Between this is where it gets tricky for me, at least. It's we can agree that there's levels of depravity, right?
Correct.
And
are you getting to age of consent stuff? Because me and Sam were just talking about
okay,
this.
Well, please, let's share for our viewers then. What do you...
Okay.
Yeah.
It is definitely case by case, and it definitely has to feel like the person is being predatory in order for me to be like, oh yeah, that's a pedophile, or a child predator. If it's a 17-year-old and a 19-year-old who are both consenting, and the parents are okay with it, everyone's okay with it, then I don't give a shit about that. I'm not gonna fucking haunt the 19-year-old.
What are what do you think are characteristics of predatory behavior that stick out to you as
making them feel like you can't tell anyone about this, shit like that. I mean, there's a lot of
blackmail,
examples.
Right?
Oh yeah, blackmail, enforcing your authority over them if you have some kind of
power dynamic.
Yeah, exactly. Shit like that.
Or just intentionally seeking out underage people, because why?
No, exactly. Why specifically underage people?
Case by case, I think is a good approach, and there are some really, really bad cases even with that, though, to be sure. But yeah, it's even with that, I think there's a degree of, I'm not saying I'm an advocate of this, but it's almost just this is again something me and Sam have talked about, but it's it almost just seems like an inevitable consequence of these shared internet spaces where you have adults and minors sharing communities of games and whatever. And it's it shouldn't be the case. And I agree that they shouldn't be acting this way, but it's how do you fight something that's so, well, I guess you're the answer to that, right? How do you fight something that's so pervasive, that's so insidious,
exactly.
That's everywhere? Really, it's everywhere. It's all the way at the top levels too. I don't know how much we don't have to get all the way into that, but Ghislaine Maxwell was just she was convicted on 5 of 6 accounts of basically child trafficking, and she was probably connected to a lot more people. So
yep.
I don't know if that'll come to light, but I think people see it clear as day now, oh, it's in plain sight.
Yeah.
So we're going to end it. We're going to stop. We're going to take care of it.
I mean, yeah, taking shit into my own hands is kind of the ideology.
Hear me out. You guys could be like the Ghostbusters. Like, I don't know. You need to form a team is what I'm saying.
I actually want to like privatize some form of law enforcement. I think that would be like the SpaceX to the NASA.
So you legitimately want to become an organized vigilante? I
genuinely would think that would be better.
Mama maximum security prison.
I do think there needs to be some kind of like structure or organization to it, because I think that like if you just rile people up, and I don't mean you specifically, I just mean like if people are just getting riled up in general, like you have to think that like at some point you're gonna end up with someone who's like a victim.
Collateral damage.
You're gonna end up with like Joker 2019 kind of person.
Definitely.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, that guy's just like Joker 2019.
No, yeah, that's why I'm saying it should be like a privatized thing so we can make it all official.
Yeah.
But I don't think that would ever happen, at least
it'd be hard to
not
do.
in my
You'd be
lifetime.
surprised. There's a few people I could introduce you to.
See, now we're talking.
This is very interesting to me. This is very interesting to me, and I'll explain why, okay? We all agree that this kind of depraved, dark stuff is coming to light now more than ever, right? It's all out in the open, and that's honestly, I think, why your content is able to be what it is because it's not hard to find this. Actually, your audience is sending you stuff. You're finding leads everywhere. And again, like in out in the open on these big trials and such. What I'm getting to, though, is what you just talked about is a necessary layer of organized secrecy that is needed to combat this sort of thing. At least that's the viewpoint. And it is so interesting to me because what's happening to me, what I think is happening is the light and dark is shifting. Now good justice and goodness is in the shadows, is organized, whereas previously darkness and evil was organized. But it's so common now. It's so plentiful now. It doesn't even have to be organized. It's everywhere. So and you have this theme, I think, in your visuals and a kind of like in your more cinematic approach to your videos is like the black and white, light and dark, obviously. But I think that's being reversed right now. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Yeah. Sam, what do you think about that?
I think that, it makes me think, like, especially the idea that all the depravity is happening without even needing to be organized. It sort of makes me think about something that our friend Lev talks about, which is sort of that, like, humans have been becoming more animalistic. And that, like, as time has gone on, like, what is in the light now is people sort of just, like, succumbing to their, I don't know, urges, or like they're just like they're being depraved. They're doing these things that are like inhuman almost, I guess you could say, or at least like that I don't like want to associate with
the lower parts of human nature, at least.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like what's in the darkness, and of course, like, goodness is what's being organized, because being organized requires like a higher level of consciousness, like a higher state of being. So in a way it almost makes sense to me that like that which is good is what's being organized, but it's also just like disappointing that
it's the state,
it has to be in the shadows.
You know what it reflects on? It reflects on what you're saying, which is the lower state of man being is the darkness, obviously, and like I think the sense of justice, of meaning, of purpose, of bringing that which is depraved to
it's
light,
being like obfuscated or something.
Well, what I'm getting at is it's a state of the darkness the world is in, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
Because when goodness is plentiful and easy, I think it's a good world, something like that, which I think we've had periods of, and it's always changing. It's never like, one
It's not
thing or the
static,
other.
yeah.
And people are always changing too, of course. And if somebody, see, this is where it gets, I guess I wonder what you think about this, Max, but, because okay, so the world can change from light to dark, let's say, broadly speaking, and so can people. But you would say there's a point of no return, right? To people. Like, in other words, some people are irredeemable. They're too dark, they're
Correct.
too evil to be brought to become light.
Yes.
Explain to me more about that. I mean, where do you think that line is, if it's even clear? And like,
How do you know that they're irredeemable?
I don't know. I don't even know if I can describe it. It definitely is a feeling. I feel like there's a few things that can get you in there, like, child rape is certainly one of them. I think killing a child is also up there. Intentionally, not like
Yeah.
your ex. Even with animals, like these videos of these people skinning animals alive, like I would love nothing more than to put a bullet in their brain.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just something so vile.
What do you think about that? Like, I don't know exactly where it is in Europe, but like places like Sweden, I think, or maybe it's Switzerland, where they kind of just have this sort of rehabilitation policy towards all criminal behavior, like even murderers. In fact, maybe this one's not the best example. This is where I live. There was a guy who like was on drugs and like decapitated someone on a bus, and that guy is not in prison anymore. Is not in an insane asylum.
He's actually driving buses.
Oh God!
He just lives in Toronto. Like, he's someone's neighbor, like.
Could be outside your window right now.
And it's probably like, I had this conversation with a friend of mine, and he was like, I'm sure if that neighbor found out that his neighbor is the guy who fucking decapitated people on Greyhound, he'd probably be freaked out and not happy. But at the same time, it's like, this guy isn't going around killing people, so I don't even know what to make of it.
Right. Are you asking me what I would make of it?
Would you get on the Greyhound bus?
The fact that there's like this rehabilitation approach out there.
I don't think we're there yet, honestly. I think maybe like way into the future we'll be able to get to the point where we can laser someone's brain and they're perfect. Like, we know for certain they will never do anything ever again, but I don't think we're at that point.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to push back a little bit here, or at least
Please do.
Okay. I don't even know if I'm pushing back, because I actually completely understand where you're coming from, and I can relate. Obviously, like, there is a sort of like, there's an instinct. There's like, and it makes sense. Like, somebody does those horrible things. It's like, just write them off. Like, they're better off not being in the society at all, or certainly not around to harm people, for one. But let me see exactly how I feel about this, or where I'm going with this. Here's the thing. Okay, let's talk about the bus guy for a second, the decapitator guy.
Okay.
He killed someone on the bus. Horrible, evil thing. Took someone's life. Of course, that's all disgusting, evil, whatever. Here's the thing. If that person is capable, and maybe this is a big if, granted, but if that person is capable of living a life where they can, for the remainder of their life, have a positive effect on people. I know this requires a lot of imagination, but just bear with me for a moment. If that is possible, or if at least that they can be redeemed in that, they can, okay, fine. Let's just leave it at that. If they can have a positive impact on their life going forward, I view that as there's an idea of forgiveness somewhere in all this. Right. And I don't know. I don't even know if that's the place to put it. I don't know. But I do value forgiveness a lot, and I know there's evil, depraved, horrible, disgusting things that I don't even want to think about, look at, talk about. I don't even like like hearing about some of these things, to be honest, because it just affects me personally in ways that I don't even like. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. How do you feel about that idea of forgiveness? Maybe
I definitely get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I think it's very Christ-like.
I mean, I would. Okay, let's say I could see the rest of someone's life. Like, I could see the rest of this person's life, and I could see that they are going to make positive changes despite all the horrible shit they did. Then yes, I would let them live. But we don't live in that world where we can see what this person might do. I only know what they did do and what I think they deserve.
Mm-hmm. Basically, the uncertainty of how rehabilitation would go is not worth the risk until we have like more certainty, basically.
Exactly, yeah. But I do get what you're saying, and I do think there are some things that are certainly redeemable even in the current year, you know. But yeah, just in terms of touching a child or killing someone, I don't think so. I personally would not let them live if it were up to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. I almost just want to. Admittedly, it's, while I believe in this idea of forgiveness in a very universal sense, I don't know if I'm strong enough to say that I could forgive somebody who kills my, child if I had one, who rapes my child if I had one. I mean, yeah,
we have seen that kind of thing happen, right?
Yeah,
I don't remember what the case was, but there was like someone like killed someone's daughter or son or something, and then like in court they like hugged it out.
So that was beautiful.
That was, by the way,
mouthy Buddha. Yeah. I mean, when I saw that, I did see that clip. I was almost moved to tears.
It's like the most human thing ever. It was like a reminder of like how amazing life and people can be.
I think it was like beyond human. That was like angel shit.
Christ-like, one might even say.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Because
that's the love that we're all operating on underneath all of this.
It's like that family that lost their child or lost their sibling or their mother or the father, whatever, the family that lost someone, they're so loving and they're so powerful that they can. I mean, it's something to marvel at. It's really quite amazing. Like that you could love that much to like forgive someone who's caused you that much suffering and pain. I mean,
yes,
it's beautiful and it's healing,
powerful
beyond themselves. It's like to witness it is healing.
I feel like on a cultural scale or whatever you want to call it, what you're bringing is a necessary. I view it as you're using darkness to fight darkness, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm glad you see it that way.
And I think that's a necessary step. I think that's a phase that's necessary. Yes. And I think eventually one day we can get to the light. We can get to the forgiveness.
I hope so. I do believe that as well. Like I do believe we're progressing to that. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's all that really matters. As long as that's the case, we got light at the end of the tunnel. You know?
Well, it's one of those things. Like it's light at the end of the tunnel, but it's going to be a bumpy ride to get there.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm an extremely optimistic person. People are always very like coming to me with their sort of like doom-saying, black-pilled perspective on the state of the world, and I'm always saying like, things, have some faith in humanity. It's going to get better. But like I do recognize at the same time that like. The Soviet Union got better, but not until a lot of terrible shit happened first, right?
Actually, that's not the best example. I'll tell you why. The Soviet Union, everybody thought that Soviet Union collapse would be the end of the world because they had nukes pointed at the U.S. We had nukes pointed at them, and we thought there's no way this is going to be this is going to be a violent, destructive revolution like Russia has had multiple times in the 20th century, and it's going to be the end of the world. And on December 25th, I believe, 1991. Yep. They officially dissolved the Soviet Union, and it was the most peaceful revolution in Russia's history.
Like the Soviet Union's existence was, for people living inside of it, was like terrible. You know,
Right.
I know this because my parents are from it.
Oh wow!
But you know, then eventually things got better in like living in Russia now, much better than living in Russia and the Soviet Union. You know, I'm sure there's some caveats to that, but the point is that like there was a light at the end of the tunnel, but there was also like fucking Stalin massacring millions of people because he was paranoid. You know what I mean? Like, so
it does kind of feel like
it's
we're
good to be optimistic. At the same time, we have to like appreciate like what is happening now. You know,
it does feel like we're going through our own Soviet era of sorts in terms of the world and like the conditions we're living under. And in that time too, good was organized in secrecy.
Right, that's right.
As it is in any oppressive regime, in any dark time of human history, good always prevails. Sometimes it has to be hidden. Sometimes it's in secret, but it does prevail in the end. And then it goes back to darkness, and then it comes back, and then, you know, it's a cycle.
It's a cycle. But it gets a little bit better every time.
Ideally.
I think.
I hope so. I think that's the idea. That's the point of us being here, is to like, okay, it's not about solving all the problems in one generation or one lifetime, but it's like, well, maybe your kids will figure it out. If they don't figure it out, maybe their kids will figure it out. Kids are the future.
Yeah,
Definitely.
And that's why
we need
important.
Max.
Yes.
That was so beautiful.
So we can have a good future.
Oh,
that's why
that
this
was
is the
cute.
most important topic. And if you really come down to it, this is what it's about. This is good versus evil right here.
Mm-hmm.
Kids and their future. And if they're going to be, if we're going to let predators just, first of all, nobody's going to have kids. Why would they? Unless there's some evil, sick fuck themselves, which I don't even want to think about that. But, and second of all, it's just like, for who are we building all this shit for? You know, what is all this for? If not for people that are going to inherit it. So, yeah.
I'm glad you see things my way.
For sure, man.
Can I just say you two have like the most beautiful minds I've ever experienced? I really appreciate this.
Oh, geez, man. Let's hug it out.
We should hug it out.
We should have hugged it out at that house party.
Oh my God. Well, there'll be a next time.
There will be, yeah. I'm definitely going to be doing my best to make it out to the next VidCon type thing. Which should be in Texas, Greg and I think.
Yes! You know. Dude.
Oh, shit.
Austin,
It's not
Texas.
going to be because, you know, it's YouTube,
I'm going to organize my own thing. Don't worry about dude, fuck YouTube. Fuck
Exactly.
YouTube's official
Fuck
thing.
YouTube. It was so much better because it was unofficial last time.
Yeah, did you have a good time meeting people? Like, how was your experience, Max?
Oh, I had a great time. Y'all were... God, I was so fucking drunk, but that was like one of the best parties I've ever been to.
I love that shot.
Yeah,
There's like a
fun.
picture. I don't know who took it. It's at that party. And for some reason, it's like, it's all of us sitting, not all of us, but like 6 of us or 7 of us, something like sitting on left and right, like 3 on each side, just kind of like, almost like a Renaissance painting.
Oh, yeah, I seen that. I know it's like a very symmetrical painting.
And you're like in the
picture
middle,
it.
like walking down, about to walk down the aisle. That was maybe symbolic.
What's it symbolic of, though?
Organized good.
I see. The way we naturally organized ourselves.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, a good filmmaker, or, you know, anyone with an eye for art, doesn't have to just be a filmmaker, but will have some idea in their mind of like what's good symmetry, from the person who took the photo to maybe even some extent, unconsciously or consciously, where people are sitting in a room, how they situate themselves. You know what I mean?
We're just so damn good that we can't help it.
We're just autists, you know. We're autists, not autists. Autists.
Oh, I think we're autists.
No, the trick is you say it with an accent, so nobody knows which one you're saying, even though.
Well, yeah, that's so funny.
I just think autists are the future.
I agree. Artists are the future.
Look at the drama YouTubers, and then Bo Blacks. He's the good one.
He's the best by far.
Coincidence?
Bo Blacks is a warrior of light. He could be your first like agent or whatever you'd call him.
He's such a nice guy.
Yeah.
Pedophiles would never suspect him to be.
It's not just in person.
He's such a nice guy. Pedophiles would never suspect him.
Exactly.
That's how we get him.
We can use his boyish good looks.
We're going to dress him up in a suit and tie, slick his hair back, and send him out to... See, this is going to turn into... Are you down to recreate To Catch a Predator, but like way cooler in modern day?
And using Bo Blacks.
Using Bo Blacks.
Oh, absolutely.
Just maybe we'll like put like Bo Blacks at the end of like a fishing rod. I'm just like...
Oh, God.
Okay,
and then as they like approach him, we'll just like reel him in.
We should have him back on, actually, and like have this meeting again with... Or, like we organize... We could just... Not even a podcast. We'll plan this out.
We'll have our secret meeting.
What do you think about Chris Hansen and his taxes?
Are you asking me?
That's open-ended for either both of you.
Okay, I abstain from answering.
Okay, well, I just mean, what do you think about Chris Hansen? I mean, in general, like, is he? Do you view him as a good example of somebody doing this kind of work, if you want to put it that way? Obviously, he was a pioneer in a sense.
Right? Yeah. No. Yeah. He was definitely one of the first of us, and he inspired a lot of what I do. But I don't know, too professional for me.
I think he's too corrupt. Like I don't think his heart's actually in the right place.
Maybe. I'm saying more so To Catch a Predator, I guess, than Chris Hansen himself. But it's like the end of the episode, they walk the Predator into the garage and all the police are there and they like arrest him, and then you find out like he was released like 2 years later. But that's for all fucking pedophiles.
You know, not to like, I'm trying to like lighten things up, but I realized that this is actually kind of an important distinction here. Something I've thought about Chris Hansen, I believe there's examples of this. Most of the cases, you know, it's genuinely creepy people doing creepy things. And probably in every case it is actually. But sometimes I think there is a boundary crossed when it comes to entrapment, because... and this is where it goes back to the redeemable versus irredeemable thing, because I believe certainly that somebody who has not acted on any of these thoughts but has them and has maybe thought about indulging in them, as depraved as they may be, if they haven't done it, like I think there is some... I think they're, first of all, far more redeemable, you know, because they haven't actually done it, right?
If anything, the fact that if they've like wanted to but been resisting because they know it's wrong, like there's something admirable about that, because I'm sure it's not easy for them. Like I don't know, because I know your position on this, Max, which is that like they're going to eventually do it because it's like it's like how can...
But I think that can change.
Primal urge.
I think that can change though. You don't believe that?
I don't see why not.
Yeah,
I just think it would be hard to get to that point. Maybe.
I think Max's only solution is some sort of like surgical laser, right?
Whatever the future brings, I don't think we currently have the instruments to fix them.
I disagree.
What if the answer is mushrooms?
Oh, so they have an ego death and like realize,
and lots of therapy, rehabilitation. Again, this is for someone who hasn't done anything. I feel like that can be effective. I don't know if there's been any studies on that, but
I'll see it I'll believe it when I see it.
You know, to Max's side, I will say this, that like in the sphere of like enlightenment, there was like a scandal a few years back where this one guy who he like, when you talk, like, he's like basically living in a permanent state of ego death, got into like a sex scandal anyways. So like, it does seem like the, you know, programming is kind of hard to overwrite.
Or he was just lying about having complete ego death.
I don't think so.
Okay, well,
I don't think so.
I do.
Okay.
Maybe not lying outright, but like something there was not adding up is what I'm saying. But certainly I'll say a bad approach to this redeemable thing. This is what I think is purely evil, or at least I can't see this being a net positive, which is people who entertain the idea that like the response is to like basically placate these kinds of urges of these very sick people with toys and simulated forms of this.
That's going to make it worse.
Yeah,
right?
I
like
think
porn.
so.
I think so too. Yeah.
It's like porn doesn't make sex addiction better. Makes it worse.
For real.
Yeah. See, this is where things get messy because
Also,
then
like, I would just have a problem with like if there was like a robot child, like I would not be uncomfortable with the fact knowing that there's someone was doing something, even though it's not a living creature. I would be uncomfortable with that. You know what I mean?
Oh, same. No, yeah.
Anyway, sorry, you were saying, Greg?
well, no, that's related. It's like also a relevant and modern day version, you know, lowly stuff.
Oh yeah.
What I mean, what is your stance on that? Like, how do you? That's a tough one, right? Like, or I don't know. It's not so tough to think that it's gross and it's wrong. That's obvious. But I mean,
yeah.
At what
does that
point,
make someone irredeemable to me? Like, do they deserve to die?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's an interesting question. I was going to ask how old are they, but
that might be relevant, actually. That might be case by case, I guess, in that sense.
I guess so. I guess that's what it would be.
Yeah.
I only know I've made fun of people for it, but I don't think I'd say they deserve to die. But I've made jokes like, if you watch shit like K-On! Do you know what K-On! Is?
Oh yeah, I don't. It's an anime with schoolgirls doing something like that.
Yeah, I'll make jokes, but I'm not ever serious in that. But when it comes to actual like loli porn, I don't know, man. I definitely think case by case is the right answer.
I do think, like, when you said like it depends on how old they are, like I still feel like that's a gateway, because it's like, oh well, when I was 16 it was fine, but they're also technically like 3,000 years old or some shit, so I was going to continue this behavior until...
God!
No, I think we all agree that it's wrong, though, Sam. He's just saying...
No, yeah, it's disgusting.
If they're 16 and doing it, though, it's like you could change easier from that, I would say.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, I think what I'm answering is, do they deserve to die?
Yeah.
And
we're talking about MamaMax here, okay? Those lines have already been drawn.
Yeah. But yeah, it's disgusting either way.
One of the people we've talked to who we're kind of friends with, Greg, isn't Dimitri like into loli or something?
Oh,
I can never really tell what he's.
I can't tell either.
Is.
Dimitri's tweets are quite based, but I think we need to have him back on and maybe just have him go at it with Max, and we might just have a battle of good versus evil. I mean, I don't think Dimitri's evil though. He seems like a good guy.
I'll be the evil.
That would be a fun inversion. Interesting. Yeah, I think we need to talk with him about that. He's probably going to have something to say.
Mm-hmm.
But
I mean, he's part of that world.
He's kind of the king of femboys, so he might... I don't know. This might be a big controversy we're starting, actually, but... What else is new? Am I right?
It's not just him. He's just who comes to mind because I've seen him tweet about it, but I'm not really sure what he's saying when he tweets about it.
That's the point.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Maybe, right?
He's intentionally ambiguous so that you don't know which side he's on. He really is bi. I'm allowed to make that joke. I'm bi.
MamaMax wants to kill you too now.
All bisexual people are predators.
Gays are fine,
say,
but just bis.
I was actually going to say, you want to go on a date?
Are you bi too?
No, I'm not.
Maybe
You're not my
he's
type
just.
anyways.
But maybe he still wants to go on a date.
We can go on a date.
Correct. I mean, I go on dates with my guy friends all the time. So, I mean, Greg, you can join us.
Oh, I'm down, man. I mean, as long as it's. Never mind. I mean, this sounds gay.
What were you gonna say?
I was gonna just be like some sort of reference to say, as long as it's not like something sexual, but that's obvious.
Yeah, we can go out on a date as long as we have sex.
As long as Max
great.
just creepily laughs after everything.
Sounds good to me. I'm down.
All right, we found the next plans for VidCon. Let's do it.
Yeah,
Oh my
it's
God.
gonna be just a giant date.
Have you all ever played Wolfenstein? Oh, God. Sorry. It's my dog.
She okay?
Give me just a sec.
We all started. I like how we just talked about like some of the darkest shit, and we started this conversation by posting our little puppies in the chat, pictures of our dogs. Like, that's so funny.
Y'all should show that for the podcast. People need to see.
We should. I think we will.
So we got Charlie and
Ace.
Sam Hoosiers. Ace?
Yeah.
Cute.
And don't
Yeah.
forget
Fun
Ruby.
fact, I when we got him, I looked up like pet names, and Ace was the first one. Under A.
That's so fucking funny.
I originally
Here,
was
let
going
me
to be like, we should call him Elvis, and my family was like, no, we're not calling him Elvis.
That was a good call on their part.
Here's a blurry picture of Ruby.
Aww.
Aw.
Look at that punum.
She's got those big googly eyes.
Yes, she does.
Well, I think that's a good note. Yeah, let's end this on a positive note of, the companions we love.
Beauty.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
MamaMax, it's been,
Thank y'all.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming on and keep doing what you do, man. We're both
Y'all
big fans.
too. I really appreciate it. Like, this has been so much fun. I was drunk this whole time. I don't know if y'all could tell.
I
can
could
tell.
not tell, honestly, yeah.
Oh, great. Okay. No, yeah, I had a great time. I was so invested in what y'all were saying, especially you, Greg. Like, you went into these like rabbit holes of conversations that I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, man. That's what it's all about.
That's Gush.
Yeah, I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
More people need to watch this.
They
Like, what
should.
the fuck? Like, when we got to what we were talking about, I was like, wow, how do y'all not have like hundreds of thousands of viewers every single one?
We're in secrecy.
Exactly, because we're the light in the shadows.
But keep it up, guys. This has been awesome.
Yeah, man. Thank you so
thank you.
much.